In the middle of the arena, a monster charges furiously, but is intercepted by Alex, the paladin. With his shield raised and steady in battle, he faces the threat head-on and shouts, drawing the creature's attention to himself. "Your opponent is here." Alex holds the monster back with his shield, enduring the brutal attack. At the right moment, he calls out Roland's name, who appears behind the creature and strikes a precise blow with his sword, cutting the enemy while declaring that he is the one who will give the orders. Roland finishes off the enemy with a decisive strike and watches the body fall. He comments that despite its size, the creature wasn't that difficult. Alex smiles in relief as Ellie runs up to him, praising his strength. Next to another girl, she celebrates the victory and highlights the trust she has always had in the paladin. Ellie gets annoyed at Alex's modesty, who just says he's doing his job. She insists that he recognize how amazing he is. Roland watches the scene with boredom, while Ellie demands that Alex accept the praise at least once. As they walk, Alex mentions they need to go to the guild to deliver the report. Ellie, excited, suggests they have lunch afterward, saying she's hungry. Alex agrees with a smile. But before that, Roland calls him with a more serious tone and says he needs to talk to him at the inn, leaving Alex curious. At the inn, Roland looks at Alex coldly and states that he lacks sufficient offensive skills. For this reason, he says Alex is not suitable for an S-class group like his. Then he orders him to leave the team, shocking Alex. Confused, Alex tries to understand the reason for the sudden decision, but Roland explodes with anger. He criticizes Alex for being slow, predictable, and limited to sacred attribute attacks. He accuses the paladin of lacking flexibility and being unable to exploit enemy weaknesses. Finally, he shouts that Alex is just dead weight for the group. Alex tries to justify his role as a paladin, saying he serves to attract enemies and open opportunities. But Roland mocks him, saying he only serves as bait because he is weak. He says they don't even need someone like that, since the group can simply defeat enemies quickly or rely on the priest to heal them. Alex attempts to argue that he has other roles besides being a tank, but Roland cuts him off, saying they no longer need someone like him. Then he asks what Ellie thinks about this, and coldly reveals that she agreed with the decision without hesitation, leaving Alex even more shaken. With a provocative smile, Roland reveals that he and Ellie have been lovers for a long time. The news surprises Alex, and Roland adds that he always found Alex annoying from the start. The impact leaves Alex shocked and confused. Roland turns his back and coldly tells Alex not to interfere, even though they were childhood friends. To him, Alex was forcing his presence. Seeing this, Alex realizes that this was an ultimatum and that Roland always thought that way about him. With a firm look, Roland declares as the group leader that Alex is out. He says there's no longer a need for a tank, and that everyone, including Ellie, agreed with this. Alex listens silently, facing the harsh reality of rejection. Alex accepts the decision and says he will leave since everyone agreed. But before leaving, he tries to say something more. Roland interrupts him aggressively, saying he has already been kicked out of the group. With no space to continue, Alex turns his back and walks away as Roland yells for him to disappear completely. As Alex goes down the stairs to leave, he is surprised by Ellie, who casually calls him and asks about the lunch they had planned. Confused, he realizes she is acting as if nothing happened, making him think that Roland was probably watching her too. Alex says goodbye to Ellie with a calm hug and formal words, thanking her for the care and wishing her luck. Ellie, confused, asks what he meant by that, not understanding it was his final farewell. Walking through the city, Alex reflects on everything that happened. He admits to himself that he was naive for not realizing his childhood friends were together. He regrets being attached to this group and thinks that even if he joins another team, he might make the same mistakes due to his own naivety. All this leaves him mentally exhausted. As Alex walks the city streets, a girl notices him and reacts with surprise. Upon learning he left the group, she is shocked and loudly questions the sudden news in disbelief. In a tavern, the girl is surprised to see Alex alone and asks about Ellie. He replies that he is alone, confirming he is no longer with the group. The news shocks her since she believed Alex and Ellie were together. Unsure how to react, she nervously moves away, trying to contain her disappointment. Alex arrives at the Adventurers Guild and, without revealing details about leaving the group, is welcomed by Tabitha, an enthusiastic employee who offers to guide him. She promises to help him start over and officially welcomes him. Alex sincerely thanks her, beginning a new chapter in his journey. Reflecting on his battle-filled routine, Alex thinks maybe it's time to rest and avoid social interactions. He asks Tabitha if there's any work he can do without dealing with others. Curious, she thinks for a moment, and suddenly has an idea that makes her smile suspiciously. Excited, Tabitha presents the perfect solution for Alex, a vast land he can explore at his own pace, without needing to interact with anyone. She reveals the reward for the work is even better. He can keep the developed land, The proposal surprises Alex, who starts seriously considering it. Alex suspects the offer is too good to be true. Tabitha insists the prize is the land itself, but admits that many farmers hired before gave up and fled. This makes Alex even more suspicious, although the proposal still intrigues him. Alex guesses monsters are involved in why the farmers ran away, and Tabitha confirms enthusiastically. Even so, she encourages him, saying that as an S-class adventurer and paladin, he can definitely handle it. With an excited smile, she asks if he accepts the mission. Alex, understanding the situation, silently replies with a determined look. Alex analyzes the mission calmly. He understands the land is dangerous, surrounded by monsters, and that the request probably came from the lord of the region. Despite being tiring and time-consuming, he realizes that protecting villages and exploring freely is exactly the kind of task that suits a paladin. With that, he decides to go ahead with the mission. With a determined look, Alex officially accepts the mission. Tabitha, surprised and happy, thanks him enthusiastically and praises his reliability. Although the place is far, she informs him that the guild prepared a teleportation spell to make the trip easier, marking the start of Alex's new beginning. Tabitha takes Alex to a secluded room in the back of the guild. Opening the heavy doors, she comments that the place is different from the other rooms and is rarely used. Alex observes the environment carefully, curious about why they are there. Inside the room, Tabitha shows Alex a magic circle on the floor, explaining it is the teleportation spell. She instructs him not to approach yet and says preparations are done. Now, everything depends on him to start the journey. Alex studies the symbol attentively, aware he's about to begin a new phase of his life. Decided, Alex says he will leave immediately. Tabitha, surprised, quickly confirms everything is ready if he agrees. He walks to the center of the magic circle, and she warns the transfer will begin. Smiling, she asks him to remain still while the spell activates. As the spell starts to glow, Tabitha says supplies will be sent later. Alex takes one last calm look and responds simply with, "Ah." Smiling, she wishes him luck and says goodbye with a cheerful, "Take care," as the magic light surrounds the paladin and transports him to his new destination. The teleport light fades, and Alex appears in an unexpected place. Confused, he looks around and realizes he was transported directly inside a simple cabin. Still adjusting to the new reality, he tries to understand what's coming. Inside the cabin, Alex notices signs of abandonment, scattered utensils and fallen chairs, indicating the farmers fled in a hurry. Suddenly, he senses a presence approaching. Alert, he quickly turns, ready to react to whatever is coming. A sudden crash explodes in front of Alex, who immediately takes a combat stance. On the other side of the broken wall, a dark creature appears, laughing sarcastically as it recognizes the glow of the teleport magic. Alex now faces the true threat of the place. A threatening-looking monster bursts through the rubble, furious at the human presence. It shouts that humans have invaded the place once again. Alex, sword in hand and with a firm gaze, prepares for the fight, immediately recognizing the enemy before him. The monster attacks aggressively, taunting Alex as it strikes. It mocks that previous humans didn't have courage and questions if Alex will be different. Seeing the paladin hold his defense firmly, the enemy calls him a coward, accusing him of only knowing how to protect himself. Even under pressure, Alex stays focused, blocking each blow precisely. Roland's words, "Useless burden, paladin," echo in Alex's mind. With steady eyes and sword raised, he faces the enemy with determination. If that's how they see him, he decides to prove his worth his way. With a resolute look, he declares he will show exactly what it means to be a paladin. With all his strength and conviction, Alex activates his sacred ability. Swinging his sword in a powerful slash, he unleashes the Holy Cross technique, filling the field with an intense light shaped like a cross, ready to destroy any evil ahead. Alex's strike hits the monster squarely, piercing it with a glowing cross. Surprised and shocked, it begins to disintegrate, while another demon watches in disbelief. Seeing Mammon's servant defeated, the enemy can hardly believe one of theirs was annihilated so easily. After defeating the enemy, Alex watches the dust settle as a mysterious light appears above him. Surprised, he hears a voice echoing in the air. It announces that, for defeating a servant of the Demon King Mammon, he will be rewarded with extra abilities. Alex looks at the light, shocked by the revelation and what it might mean for his future. The divine light grants Alex a new ability called Slave Release. Surprised, he hears that this technique is unknown in the world, but exists, and now belongs to him. The ability allows him to free a slave and summon them as an ally in battle, though it can only be used once every 7 days. The voice finishes by asking him to use this power to protect others. Impressed, Alex stares at the new destiny awaiting him. The voice asks Alex to protect those who are freed. He recognizes the glow and tone. It's the same light that guided him when he became a paladin, but now feels something greater. As he thinks, he imagines someone somewhere in the world suffering as a slave. With the new ability in hand, he begins to understand his purpose. Perhaps this power came to change the fate of others. With a firm gaze, Alex prepares to act. Alex activates the slave release ability. A magic circle glows brightly beneath his feet as he extends his hand firmly. Amid the light, a young girl appears with her head lowered, chains around her neck, and a blank expression. The liberation has begun. Her fate is about to change. The newly summoned girl slowly awakens, confused and weak. Her eyes are still cloudy, and she tries to understand what is happening. Alex, surprised, watches as she murmurs with difficulty, trying to recognize where she is. The release was successful, but she still carries the marks of her suffering. The girl, still dazed, looks at Alex and instinctively kneels, asking anxiously if he is her new master. Alex is surprised and confused by her reaction, realizing that even freed, she still sees herself as someone's property. He begins to understand how deeply slavery has marked her. After being expelled from the group, Alex decides to go to the guild seeking a new path. There, he meets an enthusiastic attendant who offers him a job that seems peaceful, a land development request. The promise of a calmer life convinces him, and he accepts the mission thinking it will be simple. Soon after being transported, Alex was attacked by a monster and after defeating it, received a unique ability called Slave Release. Without fully understanding its power, he decided to test it, believing he could help someone. To his surprise, an enslaved elf appeared before him, confused about where she was. The summoned elf, confused and scared, asks if Alex is her new master. He is shocked to realize that by using the slave release ability, he summoned an elven slave to himself. Her appearance draws attention, but the atmosphere is tense since the situation is unexpected for both. Alex is startled to see the girl is clearly an elf, and on top of that, a slave. He tries to speak with her, but the elf seems disoriented, hesitantly calling him master. The situation leaves both confused, him for not understanding how the ability resulted in this, and her for not knowing where she is or why she was summoned. Alex confirms that the elf really has a slave mark and a chain, realizing that the slave release ability is real and powerful enough to summon someone. While he processes this, the elf reacts with surprise upon seeing his sword drawn, as if preparing for something. The elf gets scared seeing Alex move with the sword and panics, desperately begging not to be hurt. He notices that she is afraid of the weapon and immediately lowers it, apologizing for frightening her. Alex smiles kindly and tells the elf she no longer needs to be afraid, as she is no longer a slave. He explains that he used the slave release ability to free her. Still confused, she watches him silently. Then he points to the collar, which begins to break as proof of her liberation. After being expelled from the group, the protagonist accepts a land development request, thinking he would have a peaceful life. Soon after being transferred, he is attacked by a monster and gains a unique ability called Slave Release. When activating it, an enslaved elf appears before him, still wearing a collar and mark. Frightened, she believes he is her new master. Surprised, he explains that he freed her and shows the breaking collar as proof. However, something glows on her body, leaving both confused about what really happened. The elf falls to her knees, panting and sweating, while the boy approaches worriedly. She confirms she is okay, and as she recovers, notices the slave mark has disappeared. Relieved, she smiles at him, now truly free. The boy confirms the ability worked, and declares she is now completely free. The elf smiles, relieved and moved, feeling truly free for the first time in a long while. Now free, they formally introduce themselves. The elf reveals her name is Lydia and says she is an elf. The boy introduces himself as Alex, a paladin. Surprised, Lydia reacts upon learning he belongs to a rare and powerful class. Alex explains that when people turn 15, they receive a class. Since he was good at defense, he was given the rare paladin class. His childhood friend, Roland, received the hero class and the mission to defeat the Demon King. Ellie, another childhood friend, became a great mage. Alex remembers being dismissed from his old group, despite having sworn to protect his friends. Lydia notices his change in expression and asks if something is wrong. He disguises it, saying he was only curious about her class. Lydia reveals she is a shaman, also known as a spirit user. Alex asks what kind of magic Lydia uses, since he has never met a shaman before. Lydia smiles and asks if he's interested. When he confirms, she interprets it as interest in herself, becoming happy and flattered by his attention. To change the mood, Alex suggests they go outside to check the situation and takes the chance to ask Lydia to show some of her magic. Excited, she agrees enthusiastically, determined to impress him. Lydia pulls Alex excitedly, promising to show something amazing. He follows her until they go out a door, but soon finds the place strange, surprised and confused by the unexpected environment. Facing an empty, wild land, Alex understands that Lydia brought him there with the intention of making him develop that place. Surprised, he asks if there will be some kind of support, but she seems unsure herself, making the situation even more confusing for him. Alex discovers that only some light household utensils will be sent later, and he doesn't even know if there will be farming tools. He looks at the huge terrain and gets frustrated, not knowing how he will explore all that alone. Meanwhile, Lydia just watches silently. Seeing Alex discouraged by the size of the land, Lydia quickly offers to help. She says he wouldn't be able to do everything alone, and now that she is free, wants to be by his side on this new journey. Alex, surprised, confirms, "You're going to help me?" And she replies with a smile, "Yes." Alex thinks maybe he could return home, but realizes he doesn't even know where he is. Lydia, determined, approaches and joins her hands, ready to use her magic. She firmly declares she wants to use her powers to help Alex, the man who saved her life. The ground begins to shake as Lydia invokes her shaman magic. Roots break through the soil and grow strongly. Alex watches surprised as he sees her technique in action. Breath of the earth. He realizes this is Lydia's true power. Alex is amazed to see a tree sprout before him. Lydia explains that shamans use spirit power to create life. She reveals that she can also manipulate the earth, leaving Alex even more surprised by her potential. Lydia asks if he thinks she can help. Alex replies, a bit embarrassed, that yes, but hesitates to finish the sentence. Lydia smiles gently, noticing his reaction. Alex, a little embarrassed, says that if she is going to help, they will basically be living together. He asks if that is a problem. Lydia, surprised, lowers her head, blushing, and begins to answer shyly, saying that she is Lydia, with teary eyes and a shy smile, says she is happy to be able to live with him. Alex is surprised but smiles, understanding her feelings. With that, they begin their new journey, ready to develop that unexplored land together. While Alex and Lydia excitedly start their new life together, he still did not know that the place where they were supposed to build everything was actually a high-risk demon territory, infested with monsters. A threatening shadow approaches, marking the start of an S-class mission to develop the fourth region of the demon realm. Alex thanks Lydia for ensuring the long-term food supply. With this, they no longer depend on provisions sent by the guild. Relieved, he feels everything can work out, and already begins thinking about the next goal. While Alex and Lydia plan to reinforce the area around the shelter, something strange happens. A sound from the forest catches their attention. Alex becomes alert, and soon a huge dark presence begins approaching, making the ground tremble. A shadow wolf covered by black mist appears before them, growling threateningly. Lydia, scared but alert, immediately recognizes the creature, a shadow wolf, a dangerous beast from the demon territory. Alex protects Lydia and orders her to retreat. Determined, he faces the shadow wolf and prepares to fight. Before advancing, he asks Lydia a favor, leaving her surprised and not understanding what he intends. Alex asks Lydia to get his sword inside the shelter. With the wolf approaching, she runs quickly and manages to bring it in time. Shouting his name, she throws the weapon, and Alex catches it firmly, ready to face the threat. Lydia warns that shadow wolves are dangerous, and Alex shouldn't face them alone. She offers to use her magic and help him, worried. Even so, Alex reassures her firmly, saying it's okay. Confident he can handle the situation, Alex activates his special ability Holy Cross, launching a bright cross-shaped attack against the shadow wolf. The explosion seems powerful, but he notices something strange and shouts, "Not yet," indicating the fight isn't over. Lydia watches surprised as Alex continues firing consecutive sacred attacks. The strength of the successive blows clearly shows how powerful he is, impressing her with the intensity of the holy magic used in battle. Lydia runs excitedly to Alex, enchanted by his strength. She is impressed that he defeated a shadow wolf alone, and her eyes shine with admiration. Alex just responds with a light smile, a bit surprised by her reaction. Lydia explains that shadow wolves are dangerous on their own, and only have weakness against sacred attacks. Even so, Alex doesn't see the fight as too difficult, saying he faces monsters like that every day. Thinking about the safety of the place, he decides to reinforce the area around the house to prevent new attacks. Alex starts planning the reinforcement around the house, thinking of digging the ground and using stones to build a barrier. Lydia, excited, offers to handle everything alone. But Alex, surprised, says he can't leave all the responsibility to her. Lydia begins using magic while reminding Alex she already said she is a shaman. Confident, she explains that she can manipulate the earth. The ground begins to shake before Alex's surprised eyes. Alex watches amazed as the ground around the house begins to be magically dug and stones start floating. Lydia, focused, moves her hands firmly. He realizes she intends to use magic to create both the hole and the protective wall. Lydia tries to keep using magic, but her body can't handle the effort. She loses strength, staggers, and falls to her knees, saying she doesn't have enough energy. Alex runs to her and holds her before she collapses completely, calling her name worriedly. Lydia apologizes for not having enough magic. While in Alex's arms, she suddenly feels her body warming up. Surprised, she asks what is happening. Alex smiles and explains it is a paladin ability. He can share his magical energy with anyone he is in direct contact with. Alex activates the share magic ability, placing his hands on Lydia. A glow surrounds them, and Lydia clearly feels Alex's magical power flowing into her. She closes her eyes, concentrating, noticing the increase in energy now running through her body. Re-energized by Alex's magic, Lydia smiles confidently and thanks him. She raises her arms and activates 2 earth spells: Hole in the Earth to open the hole, and Stone Wall to raise the walls. Rocks and soil begin moving with magical force, responding to her command. Stones fit together on their own, and the hole takes shape before Alex's eyes. He watches surprised as Lydia finishes the structure perfectly. Impressed by her skill, all he can say is, "Amazing." Alex thanks Lydia, recognizing he saved a lot of time thanks to her help. Lydia, a bit embarrassed, admits she got too excited and ended up exhausted. Concerned, Alex realized that even after sharing his magic, she still used a lot of her own energy. Gently, he extends his hand and asks if she can stand up. Alex offers his hand with a smile and says it's time to go. Even weakened, she thanks him. He carries her on his back, ensuring that this way he can keep sharing his magical energy with her while they move forward. While being carried by Alex, Lydia feels the warmth of his magic surrounding her body. She thinks how nostalgic this feeling is, remembering her childhood friend who also used amazing spells. While carrying Lydia, Alex recalls when he began his journey with an old friend. She would faint from lack of magic power, and he secretly helped her by sharing his energy while carrying her on his back, just like he is doing now. To him, all that became just a distant memory. Lydia asks with a mischievous smile if his childhood friend was a boy or a girl. Alex hesitates, surprised by the question, but answers that she was a girl. Lydia repeats the word with a suspicious and dark tone, leaving a hint of jealousy in the air. Lydia pouts, clearly jealous, puffing her cheeks while staring at Alex. He, confused, asks why she is mad. She insists she is fine, even while being carried on his back and giving small taps. The scene ends with narration indicating they are now back home. Alex suggests a break upon noticing the sunset, and asks if Lydia is hungry. She tries to hide her tiredness, telling him not to worry. He mentions he only has emergency food. Lydia thinks maybe sleeping a little will help her recover. Alex notices she is pushing herself because of him. Then he notices a measuring tool and thinks about the guild's support, but doubts how fast the plants will grow. Lydia, a bit embarrassed, comments that the blanket is thin and she is starting to feel cold. Looking at Alex with a slight blush, she shyly asks if they could sleep together just to keep warm. Alex is completely surprised by the request, not knowing how to react immediately. Alex wakes up with morning light coming through the window and notices it is already bright. Still half asleep, he turns to the side and notices something next to him in bed. Confused, he whispers, "Huh? What?" until his eyes widen as he realizes what he's seeing, reacting with a startle. Alex is startled to see Lydia sleeping beside him. He calls her surprised and she wakes up slowly, rubbing her eyes calmly. With a sleepy smile, she greets him with a simple, "Good morning," leaving Alex completely speechless. Lydia sneezes and Alex immediately worries, asking if she is okay. He concludes she must have come close to him during the night because of the cold. Thoughtful, he decides to ask the guild for new clothes for her. Suddenly, something catches his attention. He notices a mysterious box in the corner of the room and reacts intrigued. Alex is surprised to realize the supplies have arrived. Opening the box, he finds ingredients, simple tools, household utensils, men's clothes, and even plants for cultivation. Lydia, curious, observes everything carefully and notices there is also flour and butter among the items. Lydia happily notices that the plant outside has borne fruit and comments that by combining the ingredients, they can prepare tasty dishes. She offers to organize the ingredients, and Alex thanks her. Meanwhile, he decides to repair the door of the shed, which had been broken by a monster shortly after his arrival. Alex suggests that after the repairs, they have lunch together. Excited, Lydia smiles enthusiastically and says she will do her best to prepare the meal. Meanwhile, sounds coming from outside begin to approach. Alex finishes fixing the door and decides to take a walk around the house to check the safety of the area. As he thinks about Lydia and her feelings, he notices signs that the previous owner tried to cultivate the land. Realizing there is still a lot of work to do there, Alex tries to prepare the land for cultivation, but is surprised by the hardness of the soil. He realizes it will be harder than he thought, and that he might need help or tips from someone experienced. Even so, he decides to be patient and continue little by little. Alex looks around the land and realizes there is no water source nearby, only a dry, mountainous landscape in the distance. This makes him wonder why someone would choose to establish a development base in such a hostile and isolated place. While reflecting on the strange choice of that place as a base, Alex comes across a huge monster emerging from the ground, a creature made of living wood. With glowing eyes and a threatening presence, the creature advances, making Alex realize there are still powerful monsters wandering there. He calmly prepares for the confrontation. The wooden monster advances furiously, but Alex remains calm, staring at it with confidence. With a slight snap of his fingers, he gets ready to attack, showing he has already assessed the enemy and knows exactly what to do. Alex decides to return, while Lydia, excited, washes the dishes using magic to control the water. He is surprised to discover that she can also create water with magic. Smiling, she announces that the food is ready, creating a light and cozy atmosphere. Lydia enthusiastically serves pancakes to Alex, leaving him surprised and excited. She encourages him to enjoy the meal, and he starts eating, savoring the food with pleasure. The moment reinforces the light and welcoming coexistence between the two. During the meal, Alex praises the taste and garnish of the pancakes, surprised to learn they were made with fruits picked right there. Lydia thanks him for the compliment and suggests he take a bath to relax. Alex is surprised and worried whether her magic would be enough for that. Lydia, visibly blushing, suggests that with Alex's help she might be able to use the necessary magic, but that would require physical contact. Alex is startled upon realizing the implication, and Lydia adds that she would only do it if he agrees, since he saved her life. Alex hesitates, clearly embarrassed, saying he thinks it's okay, but then pulls back confused. Lydia interprets this as rejection and, saddened, assumes it's because she is a former slave. Alex, surprised, tries to explain, quickly denying that is the case. The magical symbol suddenly glows on the ground, catching Alex's attention. Surprised, he wonders what is happening now as he watches the summoning circle activate out of nowhere. The calm moment is interrupted by this unexpected event. Through the magic circle, Tabitha contacts Alex to confirm the delivery of supplies. He answers yes, but notices something is missing. Mia watches curiously as he explains that it is a message sent by the guild. The communication continues in a direct and efficient manner, revealing that the circle also works as a means of remote communication. Alex surprises Tabitha by requesting female clothes during the communication via the magic circle. Without context, he simply points upward and makes the request directly, leaving Tabitha shocked and confused by the situation. Mia observes silently while the atmosphere becomes awkward. Tabitha gets scared and completely misunderstands, thinking Alex wants female clothes for himself. Unable to explain the situation through magic, Alex becomes even more embarrassed. She even asks if he is so desperate for women that he's thinking about dressing like one. Trying to change the subject, Alex pretends the request was just part of the supply list and offers random suggestions like bread or pasta. Meanwhile, Mia calmly says they don't need anything else. Alex excitedly comments that he ate delicious pancakes that day, trying to divert attention from the earlier misunderstanding. Tabitha is surprised since she imagined the place as a harsh environment. To lighten the mood, Mia joins the conversation, saying she also ate an apple and is satisfied. Tabitha begins to realize that despite the adverse conditions of the place, they are managing well and even finding fruit there. Alex explains that the place they are in is harsh but survivable. Tabitha, still surprised, asks exactly where they are. He then reveals they are in a territory dominated by demons, the fourth demon kingdom. The revelation shocks Tabitha, who understands the gravity of the situation upon realizing how dangerous the place Alex and Mia are living in is. Alex and Mia are shocked to discover they are in the fourth demon kingdom. Tabitha apologizes, saying the guild should have prepared better before the transfer. However, Alex takes responsibility, saying he was reckless to throw himself straight into the mission. Then, he asks how far it would be if he had to return, indicating he is beginning to evaluate next steps in the face of the new reality. Tabitha explains that returning from that territory without magic will be difficult. It would require summoning magic, but the only one who masters this technique, the Great Sage, is busy. Alex understands it will take at least 2 months until they can get help. He comments that he would like to send Lydia to a safe place, but unfortunately, there is no such option at the moment. Tabitha says that if they go south, they will find a city, although it is a good distance away. Alex gets excited knowing there is a possibility of an inhabited place, but wonders if it would be safe to explore in that direction. Tabitha begins to explain something, making it clear she is not just saying that because they cannot return home. Lydia, with a serious look, tells Alex that there is a woman who offered to help him. She is thinking of sending her to him. Alex reacts with surprise and concern, immediately questioning what happened to Lydia for her to make that decision. Lydia hesitates, looking directly at Alex with a sad expression. Before she can finish talking about the woman being sent, the magical communication is interrupted with the message, "Sorry, the territory is not yet ready to accept more personnel." Alex tries to respond, promising to ask for help again in the future, while Lydia remains silent, clutching her clothes, visibly shaken. Lydia asks if he was sure about the decision. Alex smiles and says the place is not ready yet, and many people could scare Lydia. With that, he decides that for now, it will be just the two of them. He extends his hand and suggests they start expanding toward the city. Lydia holds Alex's hand with an excited smile, agreeing with the plan. She says they need to expand the field first. Alex, calm, suggests they rest for today before starting. Lydia lies down beside Alex, snuggling silently. He, visibly unsure what to do, asks how long this will last. Lydia answers calmly, saying it is just a little cold at that time of day. Lydia, embarrassed and with a slight blush, asks if she can sleep with Alex again that night. He, a little flustered, thinks he should have asked for better blankets. Lydia then moves closer, offering space beside her on the bed. Alex, smiling, invites Lydia to lie down with him. She hesitates for a moment, but soon accepts with a shy smile, lying down next to him once again. While Lydia sleeps peacefully beside him, Alex reflects. He had refused reinforcements so as not to affect her emotional state, but now, analyzing the soil and upcoming challenges, he thinks maybe it would be good to have someone experienced to help build their new home. Alex thinks about how the hard soil will make cultivation difficult, so he imagines it would be good to have a blacksmith to make sturdy tools, or someone with agricultural knowledge, like a farmer. Even having refused help before, he decides he will talk to Lydia again later. A shy-looking girl nervously asks how the conversation went while watching the other woman who just left the room. She seems anxious for the answer and clearly expected some approval or important result. The woman returns with an apologetic expression and informs that Alex refused the offer of help. Ellie is shocked by the answer. The woman also comments that, surprisingly, he is managing well alone, including with food, which has not been a problem for him. Ellie feels relieved to know Alex is not having trouble getting food, but worries about his safety being alone in the demon territory without a mage. The friend agrees, saying it is risky. Ellie then blames herself for having left the group and suggests that, if that's the case, they should send an archmage to help him. Ellie reveals her feelings, saying she sees no point in being in a group without Alex. Emotional, she hesitates to continue. The other girl comments that visiting Alex might be dangerous at the moment, leaving Ellie shocked and desperately asking if he is in danger. The girl says that Alex himself is a risk, comparing him to a hungry wolf. Ellie freezes, speechless, until someone interrupts her, asking what she is doing. A new member announces with excitement the first mission of the reformed group to explore a dungeon. Ellie listens with determination in her eyes. The group prepares to explore the dungeon, but Ellie refuses to accept it, saying that, without Alex, it is impossible. She remembers that he withdrew because he couldn't keep up with the group battles. While Roland tries to justify Alex's absence by saying he couldn't keep up, Ellie begins to question that. She feels something is wrong. In parallel, Alex's memory reveals that his usefulness in battle went beyond just distracting enemies. Ellie realizes Alex did much more for the group than it seemed, while Roland tries to downplay this, saying they already hired substitutes, Roy the soldier and Grace the duelist. Even with new members, Ellie feels something important was lost. Even after admitting Alex did more than they realized, Roland insists the group doesn't need a clumsy shielder like him. He proposes focusing only on offense, with minimal defense. Ellie, though hesitant, agrees with the plan, and the group sets off to attack. But Alex's absence is already showing consequences. During the fight, even winning, Roland is outraged by the difficulty faced. Grace gets hurt, and he begins to take out his frustration on her, criticizing her performance for not eliminating enemies faster, despite her class being speed-focused. The group's tension begins to rise. The plan to focus only on attack is failing. Roland explodes in anger and blames Roy for the strategy's failure. He says that despite avoiding damage, Roy's attacks are weak, and this only caused the group to take more hits, leaving everyone nearly dead. He states Roy's presence makes no difference, further damaging the group's morale. Roy, pressured, retorts that Alex did the same kind of thing, facing large groups alone and dragging enemies without complaining. He tries to justify himself, saying he only tried to do the same. But it's clear he is at his limit, feeling the weight of comparison with Alex and group pressure, while others begin to realize they may have underestimated Alex's role. Roy, hurt and frustrated, questions if he also has to deal with status effects. He tries to justify, saying most groups only deal with that later, with healing. But Grace confronts him directly, asking why he hasn't thought of a solution himself until now. This leaves him speechless, revealing his dependence on Alex in previous fights. Roland finally realizes the truth. Everything always worked well in the group because of Alex. The image of Alex holding the shield comes to mind, and he understands he underestimated the essential role of his former companion. The realization hits hard, leaving Roland visibly shaken. Roland explodes in anger, yelling at everyone for blaming Alex for the group's mistakes. He accuses his comrades of being weak and hypocritical. In response, they send him away, saying it's not worth paying for someone useless. Even with tension in the air, Roy coldly admits he will do the same. Abandon Roland too. Grace approaches Ellie and, before leaving, gives a subtle warning. She says it's dangerous to continue with Roland the way he is. Even trying to sound neutral, the message sounds like a last chance for Ellie to think carefully about the situation. Grace leaves Ellie with a last piece of advice: to reconsider what to do going forward. Without saying it directly, she suggests Ellie rethink her choices, especially about following Roland. Silently, Grace says goodbye with a simple, "Take care," and leaves, leaving Ellie alone under the night. Roland explodes in rage, blaming the mission's failure on the other group members, calling them useless. Ellie watches silently, visibly shaken. Even though the mission was only rank A, not S, the group's performance was disastrous. Roland sees no problem insulting others, making clear his contempt for anyone who doesn't meet his expectations. Roland continues his outburst, claiming the failure only happened because he was held back by the others. He believes he would have easily completed the mission, if not for being restrained. Ellie listens silently, appearing pressured but hesitating to interrupt. Roland reveals that the real substitutes are not those who were present before. He says he summoned a very special person. Ellie, surprised, simply accepts and says she understands. Roland says he has an appointment with this person the next day, so he will take a quick bath and rest. Ellie also decides to rest. Roland tries to get close to Ellie, saying that if she feels lonely, he could sleep with her. Ellie, impatient, pushes him away and tells him to stop joking. He just says goodnight and leaves. While Ellie sighs, visibly annoyed, Ellie thinks of Alex with longing, while he, on the other side, feels something strange and stops for a moment. Despite this, he believes it was just his imagination and returns to what he was doing, not realizing the connection between them. Alex advances firmly and delivers a powerful blow using the Holy Cross ability, hitting the enemy with brutal force. Alex signals, and Lydia immediately responds by casting Stone Wall. A stone wall appears, blocking the path and protecting the group. The wall created by Lydia successfully holds back the water's advance. Alex confidently confirms the land is secure. While Alex deals with the monsters, Lydia takes the opportunity to expand the walls with magic. They realize that little by little, they are approaching the city to the south. Then, Alex decides to plow the fields and tells Lydia to rest. Lydia offers to help by using magic to dig, but Alex declines with a smile. He says that even though she used magic every day, this time he wants to do it alone, at least a little. Alex affectionately praises Lydia, saying it's not good to depend too much on others. He assures her he will cultivate the land patiently. Lydia tries to respond but becomes visibly emotional, struggling with her feelings. Lydia faints from mana exhaustion. Alex uses the Share Magic ability to divide his energy with her. Still, he emphasizes that resting is the most important. With a gentle smile, he asks her to go back and rest, and she agrees. After 7 days of intense work, Alex manages to expand the field considerably. He feels exhausted but recognizes he has found a stable method for developing the land, ensuring continuous progress. While working alone, Alex thinks about increasing the team. Remembering Lydia's effort, he hesitates to mention it to her, but his desire is to lighten the load she carries. Alex returns at dusk and finds Lydia. When greeted by her with a smile and a welcome back, he seems surprised and touched by the warm reception. Lydia appears wearing new clothes Alex gave her, explaining that the previous ones were dirty. Slightly embarrassed but smiling, she asks what he thinks of the look, leaving Alex surprised and speechless. Alex compliments Lydia's new outfit, saying it looks amazing and suits her very well. Embarrassed and happy with the compliment, she tries to change the subject quickly, saying dinner is almost ready while fleeing all blushing, ending the conversation with a "hey." While Lydia prepares dinner, a mysterious light begins to glow in Alex's hands. Surprised, she immediately warns him. He watches closely, realizing that the light may be related to an ability called Slave Release, which intrigues him about what is happening. 7 days pass. Alex notices the ability has recharged and observes that it is the same power he used to summon Lydia. He explains it seems to be an extra ability that allows summoning a slave from anywhere in the world. Lydia listens surprised, not exactly knowing what to expect from this ability. Lydia hesitates hearing about the use of the ability. She shows insecurity, still unsure if she is ready to live with other people. Alex asks if she still feels fear, and Lydia, startled, reacts with an impulsive no, but cannot totally deny it. Despite that, she clenches her fist firmly, showing that if possible, she wants to try to overcome that fear. Alex reflects that if someone is suffering as a slave, he can use his ability to help. Lydia, determined, says she wants to help with this ability too. With that, Alex agrees with a serious look and answers. Understood. Alex and Lydia decide to use the ability together. He activates slave release, freeing a girl who appears surrounded by intense light, unconscious in Alex's arms. In a mind controlled by goblins, enslaved humans are forced to work without rest. One of the overseers shouts violently, demanding more effort. He watches an exhausted girl and contemptuously comments that she will soon need to be replaced. The girl is brutally kicked by one of the overseers while trying to work. Even hurt, she forces herself to stand, thinking the treatment of slaves only gets worse every day. Desperate and powerless, she silently wishes that someone would come to save her. A magic circle activates beneath the girl, catching her by surprise. A mysterious voice informs that the slave release ability was activated. Still confused and scared, she hears that if she wants to escape the current situation, now she has a chance. The voice tells her to step forward. With chains still attached to her body, the girl hesitates, but decides to follow the instruction. When she steps into the center of the magic circle, the light intensifies, surprising Alex, who reflexively extends his hand as he sees someone appearing before him. The girl suddenly appears before Alex, who is startled by the appearance. He wonders who she is, and seeing she is weak and falling, runs to hold her. Lydia also approaches, surprised, while Alex tries to confirm if she is okay. The girl, confused, calls Alex Oni-san and asks where she is. Still holding the pickaxe, she seems disoriented. Lydia watches carefully and comments that Alex should have noticed something. In a thought, Lydia concludes that the girl, named Nina, needs to return soon, or she will have problems. Alex observes the girl and thinks about her state. Dirty body, worn pickaxe, concluding she was forced to work in a mine, even though she is so young. Meanwhile, the girl innocently asks if he is the new overseer, not understanding what is happening around her. The girl, still scared, says she will listen carefully but asks not to be hurt. Alex gives a calm and gentle smile, saying everything is fine, and instructs her to breathe deeply and relax, trying to comfort her patiently. Alex asks if the girl is willing to listen to him, and she agrees with a nod. With a gentle smile, he introduces himself as a paladin, and also introduces Lydia, a shaman from the elf tribe. Both show calm and warmth, trying to gain the girl's trust. The girl is surprised to learn she was summoned by an ability. Lydia, noticing the collar and the mark on the girl's stomach, reveals that she was once a slave and had the same signs. This creates an immediate bond between them, showing Lydia understands well what the girl went through. Lydia explains that Alex saved her when he used the slave liberation ability to free her, removing her collar and slave mark. The girl understands everything that happened. Alex, on the other hand, warns that he will not be able to use teleportation magic for a while due to the effort made. Alex says he can't use teleport magic immediately, but promises to take the girl to the nearest city. He confirms she is now free, leaving the girl surprised and emotional. When she asks if it's true, Alex smiles and replies that he is a paladin, someone who does not lie. Nina confirms to herself, with her hand on her chest, that she is finally free. However, soon after, she begins to feel intense heat in her body, reacting uncomfortably and confused, not understanding what is happening. Nina, now free from the slave collar, feels her body light for the first time. Relieved and emotional, she runs and hugs Alex with gratitude. With a happy smile, she thanks him sincerely, calling him Oni-san. Alex smiles fondly and confirms the protective feeling as he strokes Nina's head. She nestles happily in his embrace, and he feels as if he has gained a little sister. Lydia watches the scene from afar, smiling and thinking that this is exactly what he must be feeling. Lydia quietly reveals to Alex that Nina is actually a dwarf. Despite her childlike appearance, she is already an adult woman. Alex is completely surprised by the revelation, while Nina, confused, asks if he really didn't know. Nina cheerfully introduces herself as Nina the Dwarf, saying she is not a child. Alex awkwardly responds to the greeting and thinks that due to her innocent behavior, he had assumed she was just a child. Meanwhile, Nina mentions the moment she was carried by him, still a bit uneasy about the situation. Nina, smiling sincerely, says it was the first time someone held her so gently. Alex does not know how to react, embarrassed and trying to apologize, saying he didn't think properly. But she soon reassures him, saying she liked the gesture. Lydia watches the scene with a slight smile, understanding their feelings. During the conversation, Nina asks if Alex and Lydia live alone in that place. Alex explains that yes, but only while working on developing the land. Surprised by the answer and thinking for a moment, Nina then makes a firm decision, saying she has already decided. Nina gets excited and announces she will help develop the settlement. She says Alex saved her, becoming her benefactor, and so she wants to give back somehow. Alex is surprised by the sudden decision, tries to politely refuse, but doesn't know how to handle the situation. Alex tries to find out how Nina can help, asking if she knows how to cook, use sacred magic, or farm. Nina is enthusiastic, but lacks practical skills. She says she is better at eating than cooking, doesn't know how to use sacred attacks, and only mentions that she might know how to harvest. After being confused about how to help, Nina suddenly gets excited and reveals she knows how to forge weapons. This completely surprises Alex and the elf, who did not expect that skill from her. Alex reacts surprised upon discovering Nina is a blacksmith. She confirms excitedly that she knows how to use a special forging magic. Nina explains that she couldn't use her ability because of the slave mark, but now she is free to practice her profession. Proudly, she officially introduces herself. Nina is a blacksmith. Nina asks to go out and look for something useful. With Alex's permission, she searches outside and quickly finds a pile of old wood, excited to have found something perfect to use. Alex finds it strange when Nina picks up a rusty sword, but she just smiles confidently and tells him to watch. Energetically, she prepares and activates her magic, ready to show her skill. Nina activates her magic with the command Shapeshift, causing a magic circle to glow around the rusty sword. The weapon begins reacting to the spell, surprising everyone with the power of her special forging skill. Everyone is surprised to see the rusty sword transformed into a brand new pot. Alex reacts shocked, unable to believe what he saw, while the other girl also watches impressed. Nina's forging magic proves to be more useful and versatile than they imagined. Nina explains excitedly that with the right materials, she can create tools, detect ores, and even improve weapons. Everyone is impressed with the usefulness of her skill. The elf celebrates, saying now they can cook with a real pot. And Alex, still surprised, realizes how valuable Nina can be for the group. Nina hugs the protagonist gratefully, saying she is very happy. He apologizes for leaving everything in her hands until now, and the elf promises to pay more attention in the next purchases. Then, Nina surprises even more by saying that with the right materials, she can also build houses. The protagonist comments that they can gather wood but have little iron. Nina immediately volunteers, saying she can help with that, and uses her magical ore detection skill called Ore Detection. Nina identifies that there is iron ore just below them. She says it is at a depth accessible for mining. The protagonist reacts surprised while she seems about to say something important. Nina is impressed to see all the land around and asks if they developed all that. Alex confirms, but says it was mostly thanks to Lydia. She modestly denies, saying she only manages to protect the place from monsters because Alex shares his mana with her. Nina is surprised to learn there are monsters outside the walls. Alex explains that the area is a habitat for shadow wolves, creatures so dangerous that even a single one is classified as a disaster-level threat. Lydia confirms this, but says Alex defeats them so easily it doesn't seem like a big deal. Nina is impressed and says Alex is amazing. Curious, she asks if there are shadow wolves nearby, saying she also wants to see one. Alex then puts her on his shoulders and says maybe she can see some if she looks far away. Nina says she can't see anything from there. Alex then crouches and suggests she climb onto his back. As soon as Nina climbs up, he places her on his shoulders and asks if she can see better now. Nina gets excited and leans against the wall with Alex's help. When she finally sees a shadow wolf in the distance, she is impressed and praises Alex for being able to defeat something so dangerous. He responds modestly, saying it's no big deal. Nina gets carried away trying to get a better look at the shadow wolf and leans too far. Alex warns her to be careful, but she insists she's fine. However, she ends up slipping and falling right onto his face, causing an embarrassing situation. Nina, embarrassed by what happened, apologizes without specifying exactly why, leaving Alex visibly shaken. Lydia watches the situation calmly, while the others don't understand why Alex acted that way. Then they decide it's time to head back home. During dinner, Nina thanks Lydia for the food and everything she has done. Lydia replies that it's nothing and apologizes for the simple meal. Alex enthusiastically comments that with the new pot, he'll be able to cook larger portions the next day. He smiles seeing Nina and Lydia close, and says they even look like sisters. Alex says he's happy to see the three getting along so well, which surprises Nina. He then says the place is starting to feel cramped. Lydia calmly replies that she doesn't mind, surprising Nina with her natural response. Lydia comments that compared to the conditions she had while sleeping as a slave, their current place already seems like luxury. Nina soon gets excited, saying she can help build houses and beds if they have the materials. Alex, smiling, thanks her and says he'll count on her, leaving Nina embarrassed but happy. Nina responds excitedly that she'll do her best. Lydia announces they will make beds the next day, and Alex offers to cut the wood. Everyone gets motivated and agrees to work together. The scene ends showing the start of a new day. Lydia asks where Nina will sleep, and the girl answers excitedly that she will sleep with Nissan. Alex, desperate, thinks someone needs to stop them, but Lydia also volunteers, saying, "No, I will." He forces a smile, clearly trapped by the situation. Alex organizes the day. He will gather wood to make the bed, Lydia will stay in the field, and Nina will be in charge of mining ore. With everyone in agreement, he cheers the group with a "Let's start!" beginning another day of work toward a civilized life. Alex cuts down a tree with precision and strength. After successfully felling it, he carries the trunk on his shoulders and states satisfactorily that the work there is done. While Lydia uses magic to irrigate the crops, Alex finishes stacking the cut wood and approaches. Gently, he offers help, calling her by name. Alex shows that even on dry soil, by watering and digging constantly, the earth softens. Lydia watches excitedly, noticing the soil particles are becoming finer. They conclude they now need to think about fertilizer, and she suggests using food scraps, which Alex considers a good idea. While Nina goes off excited to mine, determined to repay the food she received, Lydia watches silently and thinks she should check on her later. Soon after, she calls Alex, who senses she's about to say something important. Alex reveals he has been reconsidering using his liberation ability. Although he wanted to help immediately, he realizes freeing the girls now could leave them without direction. He concludes that even being free, they will need to stay there for a while. Alex continues explaining that, in the current situation, taking in more people would only bring another kind of suffering. He acknowledges that he has already placed this burden on Lydia and Nina for being the first freed. Lydia tries to protest, but he interrupts, leaving the weight of responsibility hanging in the air. Alex says that for now, he will focus on developing the place, because he truly wants to be able to help the freed slaves. Lydia is moved by the decision, and another character recognizes this as typical of Alex, a kind and thoughtful choice. Lydia, with tears in her eyes, says she doesn't feel overwhelmed. She tries to confess something, saying she always, but ends up shouting, "Oni-san!" emotionally, holding his hands tightly. Nina appears running, calling Alex to follow her excitedly. Surprised, he goes with her to a mine. Proud, she shows the result of her effort, revealing great progress in the excavation. Alex is impressed by what he sees. Nina proudly shows the spiral mine she dug by herself. She spins excitedly while showing the place to Alex, who watches surprised by her work. Alex goes down to see up close what Nina did. He is impressed with the spiral mine, praising the shape and the efficiency of the method. She explains this type of excavation, starting from the surface, makes the work much easier. Nina reveals she had worked as a slave in mines, but always liked digging. She got so excited she didn't even realize how much she had excavated. Alex is impressed by her dedication, praising how much she managed to do alone. Nina says she got excited digging, but the real reason was wanting to be useful to Alex. She shows what she got and smiles excitedly, while Alex watches with a calm smile, touched by her dedication. Nina shows 2 boxes full of iron ore she extracted herself. Alex is surprised by the discovery, and she comments that there might be even more deeper down, but she decided to tell them first. He replies with a smile, recognizing her effort. Alex praises Nina and thanks her for her effort, stroking her head. She smiles, embarrassed but happy. Shortly after, Lydia appears calling the two and offers to help carry the ore. Lydia brings sacks to make carrying the ore easier. Alex, showing strength, decides to carry a whole box alone. The girls are surprised, and he says they can use the sacks to carry the rest. Lydia gets excited and decides to help eagerly, saying she and Nina also need to put in effort. Nina, determined, already starts carrying a sack of ore with effort. After carrying the ore, the 3 rest exhausted. Alex comments that they will need better mining equipment. Nina and Lydia agree, panting. Lydia notices everyone is dirty, and Nina says she sweated more carrying than digging. Then Lydia suggests they take a quick bath. Nina refuses the bath and says she's fine, suggesting Lydia rest. She innocently lifts her shirt to dry the sweat, leaving Alex and Lydia surprised and embarrassed by the situation. Alex watches thoughtfully. Lydia refuses his help, saying it's her responsibility, and leaves determined, carrying the basket alone, leaving him speechless. Alex notices Lydia has been overexerting herself and acting strangely lately. Even admiring her dedication to the settlement, he begins to worry about how much she is overloading herself. Alex calls Lydia to talk and, with a calm smile, asks her to take some time to rest. Lydia is surprised by the request, but he insists, suggesting she sit down for a bit. She hesitates but ends up agreeing. Alex decides to make lunch instead of Lydia, surprising her. He recognizes she has been working too hard and admits he has been leaving all tasks to her. Even without fully understanding her behavior, he wants her to rest a little and apologizes for relying so much on her. Lydia is touched by the attitude. Lydia reacts excitedly, saying she is not working too hard and Alex doesn't need to apologize. When he insists on making lunch, she quickly takes the lead, saying cooking is her responsibility. Even a little embarrassed, she makes it clear she wants to handle it. Alex admits to himself that cooking might be a challenge, but puts that aside for now. He approaches Nina and asks if she knows why Lydia has been so tense and strange lately, trying to better understand what is happening with her. Nina says she doesn't understand Lydia's behavior either, but notices she is working too hard. She reveals how Lydia has always been kind to her, like an older sister, and that's why she wants to help if something is wrong. Inspired, Nina decides to follow Lydia's example and promises to give her best too. Alex smiles and praises Nina's spirit, saying that's why she will mine even more ore. He thanks her with a pat on the head, showing confidence and gratitude. Meanwhile, Lydia watches everything from afar with a serene expression, hearing Alex say he's counting on Nina. Alex realizes that avoiding the issue won't solve anything and decides he needs to talk to Lydia directly. He walks determinedly to the door, while Lydia remains silent, clearly shaken and waiting for what's to come. Alex enters the room and finds Lydia silent, with a distant look. He calls her worried, but she averts her eyes and starts to leave. The atmosphere becomes tense, and Alex senses there is something deeper going on with her. Lydia suddenly faints in Alex's arms, who holds her desperately and calls her name. Frightened, he asks what is happening, not understanding the situation, while realizing how much she had been pushing herself beyond the limit. Lydia, though weak, answers firmly that she is not forcing herself. Emotional, she confronts Alex for always apologizing without understanding how she really feels. She reveals she doesn't want to be seen only as a former slave saved by him, but as someone with her own worth. With tears in her eyes, she tries to say what she really wants to be for him. With watery eyes, Lydia looks firmly at Alex and finally reveals her true feeling. She wants to be someone he can trust. Lydia lowers her head, holding back tears, and asks if Alex still sees her as a miserable slave. With a trembling voice, she asks if, after everything, she is still not considered a true companion. Alex admits he has been apologizing too much lately and recognizes his mistake. Even stumbling again while apologizing, he looks into Lydia's eyes and makes it clear, to him, she is a true companion. Alex explains that he felt bad always relying on Lydia, and that, as companions, he thought it fair to share the weight of responsibilities. Lydia understands, but reveals that since Nina arrived, she began to wonder if she still had her place there. Lydia admits she became a little insecure and apologizes. Alex agrees that they both need to be more honest with each other. Smiling shyly, Lydia confesses she feels a little jealous of the affection Alex has for Nina, and asks, embarrassed, if he could do the same for her, asking to be caressed too. Alex fulfills Lydia's request with a gentle stroke on her head, leaving her blushing and smiling. Then he comments that he also needs to apologize to Nina, but when he looks at her, they see she is excited and energetic, digging vigorously while shouting, "Upsy daisy!" While digging excitedly, Nina accidentally opens an unexpected hole. Surprised, she looks at the place and notices a mysterious passage. Curious, she wonders what that strange place she just discovered is. Alex is surprised to hear from Nina that she found a cave while digging. She excitedly says she kept digging until she connected with something strange, and that deeper down there are still traces of iron. This raises the possibility of a new place to explore. Alex thinks about the importance of iron, but knows the place might be dangerous. Lydia suggests they prepare well before investigating. Determined, she offers to accompany him, and Alex accepts with a smile. Alex asks Nina to keep helping, and she responds excitedly. Even though it's a natural cave, he remembers they are still in demon territory, so there is a risk of monsters. The mission's goal is to confirm if the place is safe and understand the cave's size. With everything decided, Lydia emphasizes that everyone should prepare well for the next day. As Alex suggested, Nina says she will polish her pickaxe, while Alex comments he needs to take care of his armor and sword. Lydia agrees, but gets annoyed with the excessive focus on equipment, making it clear there are more important things to consider. The next day, everyone gears up and makes final adjustments. Nina gets excited about her equipment, while Lydia also finishes her preparation. Alex, already armored and determined, leads the group confidently. Ready to explore the mysterious cave, he declares departure. Let's go. Alex reinforces that the mission is just an initial investigation to check if the cave is safe and get a sense of its size. Lydia and Nina confirm. Excited. Prepared, the three head inside the cave. As they walk through the cave, Nina comments that they have been walking for a while and the place is very quiet. Lydia wonders where the tunnel leads and Nina realizes they are close to iron deposits. Alex, observing a magical symbol on the wall, feels a strange nostalgia facing that place. Alex realizes the place resembles a dungeon and starts wondering why something like that would exist underground. On the way, he spots bones on the floor and suddenly senses a strange presence, loudly warning that something is there with them. Alex quickly orders everyone to prepare. With weapons in hand, the group takes combat positions. A large scorpion monster emerges from the back of the cave, imposing presence and confirming they are not alone. The battle begins. Alex senses danger and shouts for everyone to prepare. The giant scorpion monster reveals itself in the shadows, and the group is on full alert, eyes fixed on the enemy. The tension in the air confirms. A serious fight begins deep underground. The elf acts quickly and casts her windblade magic, cutting the monster's legs precisely. The windblades hit squarely, destabilizing the creature and opening space for the rest of the group's attack. The elf shouts to warn Alex. The monster is a green scorpion, and its stinger contains paralyzing venom. He understands the danger, but before he can react, something else surprises him, interrupting his speech. Alex defeats the scorpion with a precise strike and explains that venom doesn't work against paladins. Nina and the elf are impressed, but soon notice new enemies approaching. Spotting another creature, Alex recognizes it and warns, more are coming. The elf is startled upon recognizing the new threat, an iron scorpion, an elite monster. The creature advances with huge claws, making clear this enemy will be much tougher than the previous one. Alex charges against the iron scorpion, but notices his sword has no effect. The creature's body is as hard as iron. Despite all his strength, he is surprised by the monster's resistance. Alex retreats after noticing his sword is ineffective. He comments that the monster's shell seems like solid iron. To help, the elf casts Earth Spear magic, launching several stone spears directly at the scorpion. Nina bravely advances and shouts to leave it to her. With her pickaxe, she jumps toward the iron scorpion, determined to break its tough shell. Alex watches, surprised by her initiative. Nina hits with full force right at the scorpion's vulnerable spot. The impact is so strong that the shell begins to crack, releasing pieces of metal. She manages to cause the first real damage to the monster. Takumi understands Nina's message and prepares for the final attack. As the scorpion staggers injured, he focuses on the crack left by the previous blow and advances, determined to finish the monster once and for all. Takumi strikes a cross-shaped cut, aiming directly at the scorpion's shell crack. The impact tears the monster's body, which lets out a loud snap before falling defeated. The group watches the defeated scorpion's body. Takumi comments in surprise that the shell really cracked, admitting the monster was very resilient. The girl smiles, revealing she used her mining skill to attack, as the shell seemed made of iron. Takumi is surprised to discover mining skills can be used even on living creatures. The girl explains that if the material's purity is high enough, the skill works. Then she approaches the slain scorpion's body and activates her ability again, excited about what she might be able to extract from it. The excited girl shows she managed to extract material from the scorpion with her skill, handing a piece to Takumi. She says he can turn it into iron with his own skill. Then she draws Takumi's attention to a nearby wall and asks him to touch it as well. Upon doing so, Takumi is surprised by something unexpected he feels or senses. Takumi realizes the wall's material is clay. Excited, he says that if they manage to collect enough, they can build a kiln and start making pottery. This would allow the group to create their own plates and cups. The elf is surprised and impressed by the idea. Takumi looks around and realizes the cave is full of valuable resources. Surprised, he declares that place is a true treasure of materials.